Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid, the night fireworks lit up London and the city held its breath. If you are a true Arsenal fan, you already know that this week is not just another week. This is the kind of week that football fans dream about. The kind that keeps you up at night not because of fireworks outside a rival team's hotel at 1:30 in the morning, but because your club is 90 minutes away from reaching the Champions League final. And yet, on the morning of May 5th, 2026, it was actually fireworks that had everyone talking before a single ball was kicked. So what exactly happened? Who was responsible? And does any of this change what happens tonight at the Emirates? Grab a seat because there is a lot to unpack here. The night before the big game, let us start from the beginning. Atletico Madrid flew into London on Monday. They trained at the Emirates Stadium in the afternoon, which is actually quite normal for visiting teams before big European nights. Everything looked calm and professional. Diego Simeone even cracked a joke at his pre-match press conference when a reporter asked why Atletico had changed hotels from their last visit to London back in October. Back then, they stayed at the Marriott Hotel in Regent's Park. This time, they were in Shoreditch, which is in East London. Simeone smiled and said the reason they changed hotels was simple. The new one was cheaper. Nobody laughed harder than Arsenal fans. Because back in October, Atletico stayed at that fancy hotel in Regent's Park and still got absolutely destroyed 4-0 at the Emirates. So yes, maybe a cheaper hotel was the right call. But then came 1:30 in the morning, while most of London was asleep. Fireworks went off right outside the hotel where the Atletico Madrid squad was staying in Shoreditch. Players and staff who had gone to bed early to rest before one of the biggest games of their season were suddenly woken up by the sound of loud explosions in the street below. Not once, but twice. Two separate incidents are reported to have happened between 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, whether you think this is funny, outrageous, or somewhere in between, probably depends on which team you support. But the facts are simple. A group of people went outside a football team's hotel in the middle of the night before a Champions League semi-final, and set off fireworks. And now there are serious questions being asked. What did Atletico Madrid do about it? Atletico Madrid were not happy at all. Club officials quickly reported the incident to Uefa, which is the governing body that runs the Champions League. They expressed serious concern about how easy it was for the people responsible to get so close to the hotel. There was apparently no security barrier, no police presence, nothing to stop someone from walking right up to the front of the building and creating a disturbance. The complaint basically said this should not have been allowed to happen. If a Premier League team was staying in Madrid the night before a big game, you would hope there would be enough security to stop something like this from happening outside their hotel. Now here is the thing. UEFA looked at the complaint and essentially said their hands are tied. UEFA has no authority over things that happen away from the stadium. They only have power inside the ground and in the immediate area around it. Anything that happens on the streets of London is a matter for the local police and the relevant authorities in the United Kingdom, not for UEFA. So what does that mean in practice? It means Atletico Madrid may have made their feelings known, but there is very little UEFA can actually do about it. The police could investigate, local councils could look at the safety situation, but UEFA cannot fine anyone or hand out any punishment based on what happened outside that hotel. That said, the conversation does not end there. Arsenal and their fireworks problem here is where things get a little complicated for Arsenal supporters. This fireworks incident outside the hotel is not the first time Arsenal fans and fireworks have appeared in the same sentence this season in the Champions League. Earlier this season, during Arsenal's away match against Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16, Arsenal fans were spotted setting off fireworks and flares in the away end. UEFA's disciplinary committee took that seriously. They fined Arsenal a total of €2,250, which works out at around £1,945. Now that might not sound like a massive amount of money for a club the size of Arsenal, but that is not really the point. The point is that it is a formal warning. A statement from UEFA that says, we are watching, we know this is happening, and if it keeps happening, the punishments will get worse. Arsenal also received a formal caution from UEFA for a delayed kickoff during their quarter-final against Sporting CP. Again, not a huge deal on its own. But when you start adding things up, a pattern begins to form, and UEFA keeps records of these things. Now, the fireworks outside Atletico's hotel, UEFA may not be able to act on that specific incident since it happened on a public street. But if it is found that Arsenal supporters were the ones responsible, it adds another layer to what UEFA is already watching. The concern for Arsenal as a club is the escalation. Small fines today can become partial stadium closures tomorrow. Away fan bans are also on the table if things keep going in the wrong direction. Nobody wants to see Arsenal fans banned from travelling to games. These are the people who spend their own money, take time off work and travel across Europe to support their team. The last thing anyone wants is for a small group of people making bad decisions to ruin that for everyone else. Why does this even happen? This is a question that a lot of people inside and outside of football are asking. Why do some fans think it is acceptable to go to a rival team's hotel in the middle of the night and set off fireworks? Some will say it is just high spirits, that it is harmless banter, that no one got hurt, and that football has always had an edge to it. And there is a part of that argument that is understandable, even if you do not fully agree with it. Big European nights bring out a special kind of energy in football cities. When Arsenal are this close to a Champions League final, emotions run very high. But there is another way to look at it. Atletico Madrid players are professional athletes preparing for the biggest match of their season. They need sleep, they need rest, they need to be mentally sharp and physically ready. Waking them up with loud noises at 1:30 in the morning is not just a prank. It is an attempt to gain an unfair advantage by disrupting the opposition. And in football, where the difference between winning and losing can come down to one moment of tiredness, one split second of poor decision making, that kind of disruption matters. There is also a question of what it says about us as fans. Arsenal have built a reputation over the years as a club with a certain class. The Emirates is a brilliant stadium. The support has grown enormously in the Champions League this season. Would it not be better if the story on the morning of such a huge game was about the amazing atmosphere being planned inside the ground, rather than a fireworks complaint from the visiting team? That is a question worth sitting with. What was the atmosphere like going into the game? Let us step back from the controversy for a moment and talk about the actual football. Because despite everything, this is still one of the most exciting nights in Arsenal's recent history. The first leg finished 1-1 in Madrid. It was a tense, difficult game at the Metropolitano Stadium, which is one of the most hostile environments in European football. Arsenal came away with a draw, which means they are in a very strong position going into the second leg. A win tonight at the Emirates is all they need to go through to the final, and Arsenal come into this game on the back of some brilliant form. On Saturday they beat Fulham 3-0 in the Premier League. It was by many accounts their best performance in months. They looked sharp, confident and full of energy. It was exactly the kind of performance you want going into a Champions League semi-final. Then on Monday night something incredible happened. Manchester City, who are Arsenal's main rivals in the race for the Premier League title, drew 3-3 with Everton. That result means Arsenal are now in control of the title race. They are sitting at the top with games in hand and a genuine chance of winning the league while also making a Champions League final. So as Arsenal fans woke up on Tuesday morning, even with all the noise around the fireworks incident, the mood was electric, the city was buzzing, the Emirates was ready. Arsenal fans had also planned something special. A group of supporters organised an event to welcome the two Arsenal team coaches as they arrived at the Emirates, scheduled between 5:45 and 6:30 in the evening. There was also talk of a record-breaking tifo display in the East Stand, which if done right would create one of those spine-tingling moments that remind you why football is the greatest sport in the world. The atmosphere inside the ground was set to be absolutely incredible. The first leg and the dark arts controversy. Before we talk about what is at stake tonight, it is worth remembering what happened in Madrid last week, because that game was not without its own controversy. Arsenal felt they should have had a penalty late in the second half. Eberechi Eze, who has been one of the most exciting players in the league this season, went down after contact from David Hanko. The referee waved it away. VAR got involved. After a long review, the decision stood. No penalty. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta was furious. He said the decision was against the rules. He was very clear in saying that he believed his team had been denied a legitimate penalty that could have changed the outcome of the game. Arsenal fans were also fuming about what they described as the dark arts being used against them in Madrid. One of the most talked about moments was the suggestion that the pitch at the Metropolitano was watered unevenly, with the home side deliberately making certain areas of the pitch more difficult to play on. Whether that is true or a conspiracy theory is hard to say, but it shows how much tension there already was between these two teams going into the second leg. Atletico Madrid are famous for this kind of thing. Under Simeone, they are one of the most tactically disciplined and physically aggressive teams in Europe. They do not play pretty football. They play to win, and they are very, very good at it. Simeone has been in charge of Atletico for many years and has turned them into a team that is always dangerous, always hard to beat, and always fighting right until the final whistle. This is the challenge Arsenal face tonight. What is at stake tonight? Let us be completely clear about what is on the line at the Emirates tonight. If Arsenal win, they go to the Champions League final. That has only happened once before in the club's history, back in 2006 when they faced Barcelona in Paris. That final is still talked about with mixed feelings by Arsenal fans. They had Jens Lehmann sent off early and still almost won it. Robert Pires, Thierry Henry, Ashley Cole. What a team that was. 20 years later, Arsenal have a chance to get back to that stage. The squad is different, the manager is different, but the hunger is the same. And if you have been following Arsenal this season, you know that this team is capable of doing something special. A draw would not be enough tonight if the first leg ended 1-. Arsenal need to win. And playing at home at the Emirates with 60,000 fans behind them, they have every reason to believe they can do exactly that. But Atletico will not make it easy. They never do. Simeone will have his team set up to frustrate, to counter-attack, and to make Arsenal uncomfortable. They have world-class players who know exactly how to perform in big European games. Antoine Griezmann, one of the best players of his generation, is still a huge threat. Atletico's defensive organisation is second to none. This is going to be a battle, a proper European battle, and those are exactly the kind of games you want to be watching. A final word on the fireworks, coming back to where we started. The fireworks outside the hotel, whatever your view on it, the most important thing that Arsenal fans can do tonight is channel all of that energy into the Emirates. The tifo, the noise, the singing, the passion. That is what creates a home advantage, not waking up the opposing team in the middle of the night. Home advantage comes from 60,000 people creating an atmosphere so loud and so intense that the visiting team feels like they are playing against 12 opponents, not 11. Arsenal fans have shown this season that they can do exactly that. The Emirates has been rocking on European nights, the support has been brilliant, and tonight with everything on the line, it needs to be even better. If Arsenal do get through tonight, the story people will tell will not be about fireworks outside a hotel. It will be about the night the Emirates erupted, the night the Gunners came back from Madrid and finished the job at home, and the night Arsenal booked their place in the Champions League final for just the second time in their history. That is the story everyone wants to tell. A question for every Arsenal fan reading this: if Arsenal win tonight and make the Champions League final, where will you be watching it? Who do you want them to face in the final? And most importantly, after everything this season, do you believe this is finally Arsenal's year? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with a fellow Gunner. And whatever happens tonight, enjoy every single minute of it. This is what football is all about. Come on, Arsenal.